Welcome to Coaching in Session.
where limits end and growth begins.
Hosted by Michael Rearden.
This is your space to challenge the ordinary
Unlock your potential
and step boldly into your next chapter.
Your mindset journey continues.
We are about 1/3 of the way through with the year of 2026. And if you think of what you have to do every single day, what you have done in January to what you do today could be vastly and wildly different. You have to ask yourself, why am I starting to decline and not starting to improve? You would think that you would develop some habit or some discipline or some mindset that's going to help you push through to the next level. In a video game, you start level 1 and then you start leveling up. Maybe at some point you plateau and it becomes more difficult to level up. Same thing in life. You would think that at some point you would level up, and then you would plateau. But what happens at certain points of the year is that people start to decline. And it's not that they're bad people. It's not that they're cheating the system. It's not that they're doing the wrong thing. This was built by design because our mind is going to be fluctuating from being focused to being distracted. And being distracted in our world today is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Today, we are going to be talking about how we can focus our mind and the energy that we have every single day, depending on who we are, because we might have a little, we might have a lot. If we have a little, what do we do with that little? How can we make that little meaningful? If we have a lot, we can get a lot done. Are we getting distracted in our day? All of this is to say that we have a budget that we have to understand. We can't go over it because if we do, we're just going to find ourselves burned out. And if we are well below that budget, we're not truly reaching our full potential. So today we have this article, Your Mindset Budget. How you invest your energy determines what grows. Now, if you read this article, the article is going to talk about how we have different energy levels in our day, and everyone is different. For example, are you a coffee drinker? I'm not a coffee drinker. I don't need any caffeine in the morning. I don't need any tea. I don't need any energy drinks. I don't drink energy drinks. It's the craziest thing where if I need more energy, I might say, okay, am I eating well or am I sleeping well? And if I'm not eating well or sleeping well, then it's one of those two that need to be adjusted so then I can get more energy. For some people, they're like, oh man, I feel down or something. I need a coffee. I need to get a Monster, an energy drink, a Red Bull, whatever it be. This is all just the mind playing tricks on you. Now, of course, I understand there's things that happens in the body, be it stimulants, but we can't rely on the exterior when the interior matters the most. So when I'm looking at this article, the first thing that rings true is that the word budget can be like money, where people are thinking, well, I don't have enough money or I want to get more money. How do I do this? Well, the mindset budget is not necessarily talking about money. It's talking about how people think money is a limit. They can either have enough or they don't have enough. And most people who are pursuing money will never be truly happy with the pursuit in what they have or what they obtain. Because if I want some money, let's say I want $1 million, I can get $1 million. And do you know what will happen after I get to $1 million? I'm going to say I want $5 million. I want 10. I want $1 billion. That's just how the mind works. It is never enough. It is never enough money. So when we are thinking in the terms of money, it's harder to say that the budget is not the mindset. We are talking about how we are limiting ourselves to do what we can with what we got. Because if I have, let's say $2,000, I can use my $2,000 and I can invest it into stocks, mutual funds, businesses, or I can say, I'm going to use my $2,000 and I'm going to buy a Louis Vuitton bag, or I'm going to buy a nice watch, or I'm going to buy some new clothes. So I'm using my $2,000 not for the benefit of me, but for the appearance of benefiting me. So it's a facade of how I'm viewing what worth is or what my budget was. Now, when we look at the mindset budget, the key point I want to really dive in, and we're going to be having our whole conversation about this, is this. The budget that you have, think of it as you have allocated a certain amount of money for something. For example, my light bill, it can range, it can fluctuate. But typically, I say my light bill can be $400 a month. Of course, in the winter, it is like $75 or $150, depending. In the summer, it's like 300, 340 around there because, again, the AC is on, a lot of things are going on. So I understand that there's a difference from the winter and the summer. But why 400, right? Because I don't have to worry about, oh, I have to change it for the winter or I have to change it for the summer. And I just understand that I need this much money. Okay. Now let's move down to gas, to water, etc. You figure out how much you usually spend, and then you give yourself more to it. And it doesn't have to be crazy more. It could be $10, $20, $50 or whatever it be. And you can say that no matter what, I need this much money per month. Now, most people, what they do is they make sure that they can make that money. Of course, then there's going to have those bazookas in our wallet, the credit cards, where we say, I know I can't afford this, but I really want it. And so they would spend something that they don't have. And then, of course, they get hit with the interest. And then before they know it, they're fighting all of this interest and they're not really truly making a dent. Now, of course, the easy fix is just to make more money and to stop your spending. Fix it and then just to understand, don't do that again. But I understand life circumstances can get in the way. So we have to understand that life is going to give us many different intentions. Now, when we look at the mindset budget, it is about how much money we have for the occasion, for the day, for the month, for the year, whatever it be, right? We say that we have this much. And I like to do it by day initially. So most people who are listening to the podcast, I want you to assume the mindset budget is per day. If you have a mortgage, I want you to divide your mortgage by 30. You could do 31 or whatever, but just divide it by 30. Now, in a sense of what your mortgage is, that's going to be, if you divide it by 30, that's going to be how much money you have to make per day. Now, I'm not saying that you can't make a whole bunch of money on Saturday and then be good for the week. I'm just saying how much money your house is costing you per day. So that's an easy way to understand that. Then you can even break it down even further, the light bill, the water bill. But I think the easiest way is to figure out how much your rent is or how much your mortgage is and just divide it by 30 and then say, whoa, I need to make this much per day. Now, are you making that much per day? Now, this episode is not about making money or you making money. It's the metaphor of what the budget is to mindset. Because if I don't have enough money to shelter myself, what do you think is going to happen to my mind? Well, I'm going to start to be stressed. I'm going to start to have doubt. Maybe I might feel insecure. Maybe I'll start to make more mistakes. All of these things are going to inflate what's happening in your life. It's going to affect what you're doing. Now, if I wake up every morning and let's say my energy level is 80%, right? Think of a phone battery. My energy level is 80%. And I say, okay, can I get through with 80%, right? I think about all the things I have to do, take the kids to school, work with clients, do the podcast, all of these things, right? So I have to say, can I do everything that I need to do? Now, sometimes I won't have enough energy. I won't have enough power. The 80% is not sufficient. So what do? Do I say, well, I only got 80%. Let me just waste a day away because I don't have enough to do the things that I have to do today or I must be doing today. What happens is that people, they wait for perfect. They wait for that 100%. They wait for the ideal moment for them to say, okay, cool, I can attack. I can tackle everything and I can come out with everything done. But it's not so much about getting everything done. It's about doing what you can do when you must be doing it. For example, let's say I have 80%, as I said. I had to do all of those things. Which one of those things do you think would be the highest priority? Now, of course, the podcast is going to be well in advance scheduled, so I don't necessarily have to worry about that immediately. Clients are going to be definitely something that I'm going to be focusing on quite a bit because they need the help, they need the support. Then maybe I'm going to be looking at family, relationships, things along those lines, my health, myself. These things are important, right? I have to give myself a certain amount of energy. Now, if you ever woke up and you forgot to charge your phone, you're like, oh my goodness, I forgot to put my phone on the charger. I'm late to work. I have to run to work. I have to do all of these things today. My phone has 10% battery. What do? You hope you can get enough juice in the car. You hope you can find an external battery that you can plug in or something, or an outlet on the go here and there. And you're trying to make ends meet as you go. This is basically struggling to survive through the day where you didn't recharge yourself enough. The mindset budget that you need is not even close to being the energy that you have. What do we do about it? This is where the challenging part becomes more relevant and something that you have to really bring some attention to. Because you have to do a deep dive in your life and saying, what in the world is going on here? Yeah. Why am I at 10%? It's not that you forgot to charge your phone. The phone is the metaphor. This idea of you not waking up at 100%, something's going on. I understand you could be burned out. You could be working 2-3 jobs. I see it all the time. But when you are working that hard and you are burning yourself out, the wheels are going to eventually fall off. And you need to be ready for anything that can happen. So we need to say, well, I have 10%. Instead of I have to do all of this stuff today, let me run to a charger. Let me get a battery bank. Let me do this. Let me get a new phone or whatever. Instead of us saying, well, I need to do 90% of the stuff that I can't do. What can I do that is a 10%? What would create the most meaning? Now, one of the reasons why I haven't said what you should be doing is because what you should be doing is unique to you. Maybe you have a car business. Maybe you have a realtor company. Maybe you sell insurance or solar panels. Maybe you are an investor. Maybe you're an entrepreneur. Maybe you are a day trader. I don't know what you do, so I can't tell you what your priorities are unless we're working one-on-one. But let's start to think universally, where I know that I need a certain amount of money for my living expenses per day, right? We think about the mortgage or the rent and we divide it. How can I at least get those funds for today? If you are working a minimum wage job and is not it per day, guess what? You need a new job. It doesn't matter about skill. It matters about mindset. It matters about who you know. It matters about discipline and effort and habits. Those things are more important. I understand that there's going to be jobs and job markets that are going to cater to certain individuals more. For example, maybe you have no high school education and you might think that you can't get ahead, but that is far from the truth. Most people who have no GED or high school education, they're living just in a poor mindset. And they just need some support from a coach typically, or a mentor, someone to give them that go. Because if you think about it, most of the people who are millionaires, billionaires, they're C students. Nothing special there. They have learned that it doesn't matter about what I get in school. It's about what I get in life. What am I getting out of life? What am I doing with what I have right now? Are we being distracted? Are we using our resources in the wrong manner, in the wrong way? A lot of people are. So when we're looking at this idea, again, of budget and energy, this is one of the things I like to look at almost every single day, because most of the time I'm on autopilot. I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I know what needs to be done. I know how to prioritize. We have an article, a blog called Purposeful Priority, and you're prioritizing the things that are going to bring the most purpose. Now, when we look at the mindset budget, we think about how our mind is either focused or unfocused, right? The energy to focus on something, the energy to do something with full intent. For example, have you ever watched a movie and maybe you are extremely tired and you're like falling asleep in the movie and you're falling asleep in the movie and you're just like, am I watching the movie Or am I just going through the movie? And at the end of the movie, could you really tell someone what happened in that movie? Maybe you could. But the reality is you weren't truly present. You weren't paying attention. Now, I'm not saying that you need to watch movies and be fully awake all the time. Some people watch movies, they have it on in the background because they want some extra noise. And then they focus on the things that they want to do. I'm not saying that you have to turn off all your electronics and focus only on the mandatory things in your life. I'm not saying this. I'm saying, what can you do right now with 100% focus or with 100% of what you got? So if you have 10% left, what can you use that 10% of energy to focus on something 100%? And you know it's going to be good. Is it going to be going to work? Is that a high energy task? Is it a low energy task? And if you work with people, with numbers, finances, and big corporations, it's probably a high energy task. I remember when I was working in the nursing home and I worked in the kitchen, I would just wash dishes and I prepare food and I would serve the food and stuff like that. That right there, even though it required so much energy from me, to be honest, if I had 0%, I could probably do that job. I remember one time I went to a Halloween party and the night before, my car got a gash in it. Like it was like a flat. So the tire needed to be replaced. So I put on the spare. And I was just so mad that night. I was like, man, my tire is all messed up. And now I have to go buy a new tire. And I was just like, out of it. I was just like, whatever, I'm just going to go party. I'm just going to go drink crazy. And I drank crazy, all right, to the point where I didn't even drive home. I stayed at my friend's house. This is to say that the morning after was not a good morning. It was hungover, dehydrated, and I had to go to work all day long. And I was just thinking in my head, man, how am I going to get through? And I'm just struggling the whole way through. I'm chugging along. Think of Thomas the Tank. Like, I think I can. And I was thinking, I think I can. There's certain points where I said, I don't think I can. And as much as that day went so slow, at the end of it, I was like, man, that sucked. But let me tell you something, what happened. Instead of me starting with a bunch of energy and losing it because I worked, I was already at the bottom of the barrel. I was literally dying, like from alcohol. And I was like, let me figure this out. I started to drink some water and I started to rehydrate myself. I was able to get some food in my system at the end of the night. And by the end of the night, I felt better. I was like, I feel better now. Like I felt like I had more energy, like I can do more, even though I was exhausted, even though I was still hungover some, even though my body wasn't tip top shape. And again, when you're young, you can do crazy things like that and you can just abuse your body. When you're older, you have to be a bit more attentive. For me, it was a learning lesson, right? Would I do that again? Probably not, because I don't find a benefit in that. Now, this is to say, going back to the whole story, I had nothing in the morning. I had no energy. I had no focus. I just had the obligation to go to work. At the time, I was living with my mom and I didn't need money for any type of rent. I had to pay my car insurance. I had to pay my phone bill and maybe buy some food. And of course, in 3-4 hours, I could have been done. So I didn't need to do an 8-hour shift or whatever. But I don't know if I had to do a double that day. I think I did a 17-hour day that day, which was crazy. So I worked from like 5 in the morning to like 7 at night or something like that. And it was intense because I didn't have it in me, but I got through it. I'm here to say the story or tell the story, right? Now, when I look at it in the terms of not so much of me going to work now, I'm looking at it in the terms of how I can make my life better. Because the mindset budget and how I invest my energy determines the outcome of my life. This means that if I'm going to invest my energy, maybe I'm an energetic person in the morning, I'm going to be like, I'm going to spend all my morning doing the positive first. So I'm going to spend my morning doing all my journaling, doing all my work, doing all my meetings. Maybe my meetings are high energy. So of course I'll put it in the morning. going to the gym, high energy task. I'm going to put all my high energy things there. And then in the evening, if I have no energy or I'm just depleted because I did everything that I had to do, mandatory, maybe, yeah, sure, I can go on my phone, I'll lay down, I hang out with the kids. So I'm doing the low energy things. Now, the things in the morning, the things that gave my 100% to, the most attention to, those are the things that will grow in my life. So I will see results in the gym. I will see the results in my career. I will see the results in my clients. I will see the results in anything that I put forth in the morning, because I know for me, I'm a morning person. The moment I wake up is the moment I cannot let myself get distracted, meaning I cannot deviate from what I'm doing. I do not want to stop. My wife knows this. If she's 1 second late to getting in the car to go to the gym, we got problems already. We got to do this. We got to do this, Aaron. It's already messing me up because now I'm doing low energy tasks in my high energy moments. Now my budget is being spent on the things that don't matter instead of the things that do matter. And you have to figure out what matters. Now, I'm not saying that my wife doesn't matter. I'm not saying that the tasks that we have to do don't matter. I'm just saying that there could be a different time when I have nothing, when I'm low energy, when I'm tired, when I'm down and out. I would rather do something more empowering in the morning that's going to help me grow as a person or grow as a business or grow as an entity, whatever you want to consider it, and do that. So you have to figure out what is the things that you need in your life that needs to grow right now. Can you give yourself the focus when you need to focus? Maybe it's in the morning, maybe it's in the evening. I'm not sure when your prime focus is, but we all have a prime focus. Sometimes it could be in the afternoon, but if you look at just how people work, in the morning, they come in, it's a little bit slow. Maybe from 10 to 11:30, you can get so much done. Then you're hungry, and then you're lethargic, and then you're ready to go home. I mean, at the whole day of the 8 hours, you only had an hour and 30 minutes of something productive. What if we said, instead of suffering the 8 hours, we give ourselves the focus of the hours that are going to be the most prominent with the things and the tasks that have to get done? Think of deadlines. Your boss says, this is due tomorrow. You're like, oh, Jesus, due tomorrow? Maybe you have nothing done. You have to start and you have no night, you have no morning. You're just preparing. But if you know that that is coming up, you know that deadline is coming up, you can prepare properly versus just going through the day haphazardly. And this is what happens with the mindset budget. Most people don't allow themselves to focus on the things that are going to help them grow the most. They just spend their energy like they're at a flea market or at a food fair or they're at Disney World and they're just having a good time and they don't necessarily know where their energy is going, where their focus is going. What is the budget at that point? Because at that point, it's a free for all. Anything is game. But if you can dedicate yourself for what needs to be done to a certain period, I mean, you're going to find yourself having tremendous growth. Not everyone who is successful knows this, but the people who are trying to get successful, if they can adapt it, they'll start to become they will become more in line with the person that they are looking at becoming. You don't necessarily have to know how much energy you have and if you can do something or if you can't do something or if you have to delegate or you have to throw it away. These are advanced levels of thinking. This is not a tune-up series, but this is just an advanced way to understand mindset and a different way to understand your energy level. Because anyone can wake up in the morning, drink a coffee, they can have a Monster in the afternoon, and they can work a 9 to 5. Most people can do that. But when we start to look at the people who are the top 15 percenters in the world, they can work crazy hours, but what they do in those working hours bring the most meaning. Because people might do this and this and this, and they think they're working, and then the other person might be doing this, working. And even though they're moving slower than the other person, what they're doing has the most impact. Think of if you had a bucket of water, and the bucket of water, it doesn't matter the size, but it's a big bucket of water. And I gave you a thimble or like a very small cup. Let's say it can hold half an ounce. And then I give you a gallon of water, like an empty water jug. And you take this gallon water jug and you fill that bucket of water. And then you take your small half ounce little thimble, little cup or shot glass, whatever you want to have. And you say, okay, my goal is I have to fill the bucket across the way on the other side of the field with water. Now, if you say, I'm going to use a shot glass and I'm going to use a shot glass, I'm going to put it in the water, I'm going to walk it over, that you're going to take a lot longer than if you say, I'm going to use this gallon jug, fill up the bucket or fill up the jug and bring it across the way. You're going to get done a lot quicker with the gallon. Now, most people are living in the mindset of just doing the bare minimum. This shot glass, right? The small cup. We have to start to adapt to do the things that are more than just the shot glass, right? We need to think bigger, right? We need to use our power, our energy, our day for the things that matter the most, that are going to help us get the results that we're looking for. And the result at that time was we need to move this water all the way to that bucket. Now, for my outside of the box thinkers, you might say, well, I'm just going to pick up the bucket and bring it across the way. But that's not the rules. The idea is most people are just doing the bare minimum. And the bare minimum, even if they have energy, is being used incorrectly. So there's just so much to be said. And in this article, your mindset budget, how you invest your energy determines what grows. You're going to learn many different things that I've said, and it's going to be in a different way because I like to sometimes do the blogs differently than how I do the podcast, because it's important that we have some differences between the podcast and the article sometimes, because I find that anyone could just read the article, but then to understand what's truly going on in our day can really bring about something magical. So learn about how your mind is, learn about the budgets you have in different areas of your life. Look at the given stages where you need more growth or where you're weak or where you're strong, and then figure out the capacities where you can increase or you can decrease depending on if they're good or they're bad. Now, all of this is to be said that you don't have to do this by yourself. If you are a person that struggles with focusing yourself in the day, maybe you're a person that you do the wrong things in the morning, like going on your phone, and the energy that you have is the strongest in the morning. Maybe what we should do is have a consultation, reach out to us, revenconcepts.com. Just talk about what's going on in your life. Why are you doing the things that you're doing? And it could be simple as you're not showing up. You're making excuses. You just need a little bit of guidance. You need a push. We all are going to have our ups and our downs. That's life. You're going to have good moments in life and you're going to have crappy moments in life. And the crappy moments make you not want to move. It makes you want to stand still. It makes you want to just drone out. But I encourage you in those moments to seek more, to do more, and not just to simply do more, but to do the things that are going to have the greatest impact, the greatest growth in your life. Again, reach out to us. Check out this article. The link's down below. And I am interested in if you are a morning person or if you're an evening person, because we live in a crazy world where the mornings are typically dedicated to work and the evenings are dedicated to our own personal self, or whether it be the gym or our family. And I wanted to ask, are you a morning person? Or are you an evening person? So in the comments below, or you could send me an email, coachinginsession@gmail.com. Let me know if you're a morning or an evening person, because this is going to have a huge impact on your mindset budget in the long run. You don't even need to get an answer from me. This is just work for you to understand that your mornings are more important or your nights are more important to focus on. Focus on them, and then you'll start to see the growth that you're looking for.